And we're back here for another edition of Inside Career Technical Training. Today, we're so excited to congratulate and talk about all of those high school seniors that are graduating, have graduated, even though it's a different world. But we've got some good news for you. If you haven't had exactly the most normal time during your graduation process, we've got some good news. And here to share that with us is Jim Beloga. He is the president and CEO of Porter Chester Institute. And boy, it's been an interesting time for everybody, Jim. I know you folks at PCI even have really had to reformulate how things are done. You've done a great job at that. Now we're hopefully starting to reopen things up so your folks can get back in the classroom, get their hands on some of the equipment they've been studying remotely. So, what's going on?
Well, Ann, yeah, it's been well. Thanks for having me, and it's been interesting. We're about halfway through the spring term, and the students have spent the first. They're going to spend the first 6 weeks of that term learning online, and then we're hopeful that we'll be able to get them back on the campus in their industry modeled labs or out on a clinical site. Hopefully, coming early June.
Mm-hmm.
That's our goal. Obviously, we're monitoring it day by day, but in the meantime, we've done a number of different things to really help. I think the graduates for 2020, the high school graduates for 2020, whether they're already committed to do something and they're not having second thoughts, or whether they're still undecided. We've actually pulled together a grant for them, a 2020 COVID-19 grant for them that will basically help assist them in terms of paying for their education. In addition, we've also, starting May 13th, we've waived our application fee for the upcoming July 20th start, really also in lieu of the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, we're just trying to be sensitive to families and the 2020 high school graduates, because we know it's uncertain times. And I think recently, last week, we had another 3 million folks file for unemployment
Yeah,
claims.
and
I think
it's
we're up to what, 36 million or
yeah,
something like
and
that.
I don't think the bleeding is over yet. And the financial bleeding continues, and this is where any assistance that any parents can get of these young people. And I know a friend of mine whose son was college bound. Now they're questioning that decision because he won't be able to live on campus.
Hmm.
So it's really time to sit down and think about, what it is you're going to study. What is it? I look at it this way, Jim. Who are the people that still continued to work during this pandemic? Those were what we call our essential employees. And so many of the trades that you offer at PCI fall into that category.
Yeah, no, that's good. Very good point, Ian. I mean, when you look at the governor's executive orders in terms of who they've defined as essential, many of our educational programs, you know, supply those occupations or those trades. Whether it's healthcare workers. Again, we've got medical assisting, dental assisting, medical billing and coding, practical nursing. Whether you're in a skilled trade, so plumbing, electrical, HVAC, electronics,
Auto
even
technician.
yeah, auto mechanics as
Yeah.
well. And even folks who are in the information technology area as well. So again, I mean, many of our programs are really leading to essential jobs, in the states where where Porter and Chester operates. So we're very encouraged, about our future and about the 2020 high school graduates' futures as well, because there, I think a lot of folks are actually taking a look at what's next. And I've often said to parents who I've met over the years, if your son or daughter's not really sure what they want to do, there's really no harm in taking a year and actually learning a trade, or getting some additional tangible skills that really could lead to
Hmm.
viable employment. And again, that might change folks' view on the traditional 4-year path. And again, I think that we've designed our programs in a way where you spend about half of your time learning the theory, and then you spend the other half of your time in industry modeled labs and or clinical sites or locations. And again, that's all being designed, in concert with employers who are actually employing our grads through our program advisory committee. So I'm very again very encouraged, and again we want to try to share what we can with parents and with high school graduates.
Well, and you also look at the economics of it. If you're signed up to attend a 4-year university, we know what that costs. And then here, like you said, some of these programs, most of them 1 year to 18 months, depending on which program you choose. Plus, you have the flexibility, and I can tell you the costs are a heck of a lot less. So, especially in these times, I think we got to really re-examine the outcomes from the investment and take a serious look at that. So we invite you folks. Also, classes start July 20th. We want to
They do.
emphasize that. And there's also a grant
Yep.
opportunity for this start as well.
Yep. The grant and the waiver of the application
Right,
fee.
which we talked about. So porterchester.edu, campuses all across the state of Connecticut. So location, I mean, if you're remote learning, that's not really an issue. But then you can also do your practicals or you can do your hands-on training in the area that you live. So you might do your hands-on at an auto dealership near your home. You might be working in a dental office that's got a program. And you guys have been doing this for a long time, since what, 1946?
Yeah, we've been doing it since
So
46. Yeah.
So you kind of know what you're doing at
Yeah,
this
we,
point?
we think we do.
You've worked out the kinks, you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. So yeah, yeah. So again, I mean, I think that to your point, it's we've designed industry modeled labs in our campuses, and again, like you mentioned, students are now learning online the theory part, if you will, the classroom part. And we're hopeful that we'll be having students back on campus in very short order, hopefully early June, where they can actually develop and hone their tangible skills that they'll then use when they go out and get employed.
Right. And then I know a lot of people didn't get to celebrate the actual, celebration of graduation, including some of your Porter and Chester graduates, but you have made sure that that's going to be rescheduled for the fall. We'll see what happens then. But I can tell you, and I know what you're feeling if you've missed your milestone of graduation. I mean, that's an experience, that's an event that everybody should have, and I've been to some of your Porter and Chester graduation ceremonies where the mortar boards are all decorated and the families are there and the celebration and the pride. And the pride of the folks who are watching folks graduate, whether it's a stay-at-home working mom and now it's time for her, whether it's the guy that was deployed overseas or the woman that was deployed and coming back to learn. There is no typical Porter and Chester student. It's across the board, and that's what I love about it. It's just a little bit of everything, and it's never too late, like you said, to learn a skill, right, Jim?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you mentioned, and we have students who are 18 all the way up to we have students who are in their 60s still learning, and which is great. And we're big supporters of lifelong learning, and I think that we encourage all of our students that just because you get this training doesn't necessarily mean your learning is going to stop. You're going to need to sort of learn it throughout your life and throughout your career. So, we try to pass on some pearls of wisdom along the way.
Sure.
But yeah, I just want to touch on one other point. I mean, we are seeing students, high school 2020 grads. I just want to reiterate that we are seeing that students and their families reconsider sort of the traditional 4-year experience. And I would just encourage the listeners to check out the website at porterchester.edu. And we do have, like you said, an upcoming new student start July 20th, and again, we're excited about our future and the opportunities that
Right.
We can offer to the community.
And you've said it before, and we should all be saying this, and I've seen a lot of this on social media. It's okay. It's okay to be a plumber. It's okay to be an electrician, or all these trades. I believe that the stereotype is being eliminated because the reality is real.
Yeah, no, it's I think I think like everything that we experience. I mean, we many of us really don't know what we know until we sort of experience it,
Hmm.
and I think that what I've experienced in my time at Porter and Chester is that I learn something new every day, whether I'm in an electrical lab or a practical nursing lab or a CAD lab or computer networking lab. I mean, I'm learning something new every day, and I would just simply say that technical education is regular education, and we apply that theory. So I would say that for folks who aren't really quite sure what it's all about, again, check out our website. Eventually we'll be back open, and you can come in and take a physical tour. But we are conducting virtual tours. So, I would just encourage folks to take a look at this.
What's it hurt? No harm, no foul, as we
Yeah,
always say, right?
yeah, yeah.
Well, Jim Beloga, President and CEO of Porter and Chester Institute, thank you. Another great podcast with some great information. And of course, we want to thank you for listening to this edition of Inside Career Technical Training.